Something really big is happening in the world of high-end retail. A major shakeup is underway, and two of the most famous names, Saks Fifth Avenue and Neiman Marcus, are right at the center of it. So let's get into what's behind this massive restructuring by their parent company, Saks Global.
Here's the deal. Saks Global, which is an absolute giant in this space, just announced a whole wave of store closures. And believe me, this decision is sending shockwaves through the entire fashion world.
So let's start with a number, 9. That's the first number you need to have in your head. It's the number of core flagship luxury department stores that are getting shut down, at least in this first phase.
Yeah, and we're not talking about just any old stores here. These are some of the crown jewels of American luxury we're talking about. Saks Fifth Avenue and Neiman Marcus locations.
Okay, so what exactly is on the chopping block in this huge operational shift? Well, the scale of it is actually much bigger than just those 9 core stores.
When you see the full list, you really get a sense of how deep these cuts go. It starts with 8 Saks Fifth Avenue stores and 1 Neiman Marcus. But then, look at this. The Horse Show home catalog? Gone. 14 of their standalone personal styling suites are closing too. And then you get to the off-price stores. A staggering 57 Saks Off Fifth locations are being shut down, plus all 5 of Neiman's Last Call outlets. This is a serious, top-to-bottom overhaul.
So, you have to ask the big question. Why? Why is all of this happening right now? Well, this isn't just a simple case of cutting costs, it's all part of a much bigger formal strategy.
This whole move is happening under what's called a Chapter 11 reorganization. And it's really important to understand this isn't game over for them. It's actually a strategic reset. It's a legal process that lets the company keep its stores open while it reworks all its finances and operations. The whole point is to get back to being profitable again.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The company's leadership is framing it in exactly that way. The CEO of Saks Global, Geoffrey Van Reptenok, basically said this is all about reinforcing the core brands, Saks, Neiman's, and Bergdorf Goodman, to make them the absolute #1 destinations for luxury. So this is a very deliberate move to strengthen the heart and soul of their business.
So they're calling this new leaner approach an optimization strategy. But what does that actually look like when the rubber meets the road? You can really see the change when you put the old way next to the new strategy. On one side, you had the old footprint, a huge, sprawling network of stores, a lot of them in smaller, less profitable markets with these separate styling suites. The new strategy? It's a total pivot. They're focusing only on a smaller number of highly profitable locations in areas with high growth potential. They want to integrate the online and in-store experience and pour all that saved money back into their main luxury flagships. So the goal here is to create this kind of positive feedback loop. It all starts by sharpening their focus on selling full-price luxury goods. Then, the money they save from all these closures gets reinvested into the stores that are left to really elevate that in-store experience. And it's all designed to come together to make the journey from browsing online to buying in-store completely seamless for the customer. Of course, whenever a company makes a move this big, it's never just about buildings and balance sheets. It sends out these huge ripple effects that touch a ton of people and other businesses.
So let's break down who is really feeling the most direct impact from this massive change.
And the list is pretty long. First, you've got the employees, of course, who are now facing either job losses or having to transfer. Then there are the customers, the loyal shoppers in those 9 markets where the big stores are closing. You've got landlords and shopping malls who are suddenly losing their major anchor tenants. And then, maybe most critically, you have the vendors and the small designers who really depend on these stores to survive. And to really get that last point, just listen to this. It's from Gary Wasner, whose company is kind of a financial middleman for smaller designers and the big department stores. He wrote to his clients, saying that this whole disruption is causing them financial stress and losses and creating cash flow issues. He's right there on the front lines, seeing the panic this is causing for these creative brands.
And that right there is the real gut punch. It's a huge fear inside the industry right now. The big concern is that for some of these smaller suppliers, losing a huge account like Saks or Neiman's isn't just a setback. It could literally mean they have to shut down completely. They could just go dark.
So after all this shaking out, where does this leave the luxury landscape? Let's take a look at what the future might hold, now that this first wave of closures is done. Well, the new map is definitely a lot smaller. Saks Fifth Avenue is now down to 33 stores, and Neiman Marcus has 36. But what's really interesting is that the 2 iconic Bergdorf Goodman stores in Manhattan, totally untouched. That really tells you how central they are to the whole brand.
But this might not be the end of it. The word on the street, The industry chatter suggests that the final number of Saks and Neiman's closures could end up being around 20. So this first round of 9 could very well be just phase 1.
And this brings us to the final, huge, million-dollar question. Is this kind of radical downsizing the new blueprint for survival in high-end retail? Is a smaller, more focused, more experience-driven footprint the only way these legacy giants can actually make it in the modern world? Saks Global is betting its entire future on it, and you can be sure the whole industry is watching to see if that bet pays off.